Hey there, this is Atul from team K21Academy, and in this first video of a multi-part video series, I'm going to talk about AWS Cloud. Things very high level, what, why, and how of AWS Cloud. Now, I'm going to keep it short, crisp, to the point, and then if you need further, at the end of this video, I'm going to also share the link or maybe in the description section on how to go on a more in-depth beginners level free class or free course that I'm hosting, which I'll probably I need to still figure out where I'll host that, but I'll put it in the description section. Now, this will be useful if you're a complete beginner or maybe you want to recap things. So as I said, we're going to cover in this part very, very basic what is AWS Cloud, why you should be learning. And today we are just going to keep very high level the common services that are available in AWS Cloud. So the first and most important, the first thing when if you're a complete beginner, you might be asking which cloud I should be doing. And that's one of the most common question I get, which cloud I should be doing. I'm going to give you a more in-depth, there will be a separate video I'm going to create, but I'll keep it short and quick. If you have no preference, if you don't know which cloud to go, I would suggest you begin with AWS Cloud, and I'll tell you the reason why you begin with AWS Cloud. But if you're already working on a particular skill set, suppose you're working on a Microsoft products or Oracle product or Google, or then you go for appropriate cloud, AWS, like Oracle, Google, Azure, and so on. If you already have a project or if your company is implementing that particular cloud, then you go for that particular cloud. Otherwise, always recommend you to start with AWS Cloud. Why? For a number of reasons. First of all, if you see the AWS still, I'm recording this in 2023, it's still market leader in AWS with 32% market share as per Statista. And then number two comes Azure and so on. If you look at, I think they are on 12 or 13 consecutive years as per Gartner's Magic Quadrant. They have been in the leader in that particular space. If you look at Gartner's Magic Quadrant, that was in June 2020, as of June 2020. Now, also, if you look at some of the top companies are using AWS Cloud, pretty much every company that use, most of the companies I know, or the big, all big, medium and small are using companies, things like Adobe, Airbnb, Twitter, Hitachi, Facebook, IBM, and I know a lot more companies both in UK, US, Europe, across globe are using AWS Cloud. And that results in number of job opportunities that are available, and that's why. Also, if you look at the job opportunities, just search. They also have huge job opportunities, both from a beginner level to all the way senior architect, solution architect, DevOps, AI, machine learning, data, and so on. So there'll be high salaries available as well. Now, with that, let's look at some of the core services that you have available on this. So the core services are things like they're mainly divided into first is the foundation level services, which I'm going to cover briefly today. Well, and later we go deeper into each of these services. Then you have application level services, and then you have a deployment and management and config management and so on. The first service under the foundation, and today we are going to cover basics, as I said. So under foundation, you have something called as compute, which is nothing but your virtual machine, or you have containers, Kubernetes. You also have functions, serverless, Lambda, and so on. And this is where you have the memory and CPU that needs to process or do some activity. And that's what is compute. We'll go deeper in each of these later in subsequent videos for EC2 and so on. But the common one is EC2, which is Elastic Compute Cloud, which is nothing but a virtual machine, either of type Windows or Linux on AWS Cloud. Then number two comes storage. And storage, in storage, you have things like you have where the data is stored. And in that, primarily, there are three types of storage. One is block storage, second is object storage, and third is file storage. So the object storage is where you have all the object file like S3 bucket, we call S3, which is simple storage service, which you have all your objects like your videos, files, data, backup and restore, and so on. The object store is where you have, the block store is where you have the data being written in blocks. Like, for example, your virtual machine needs block of object storage. Sorry, not, I keep mixing. Block storage. Your operating system needs the block storage. So that's a block, which is EBS, Elastic Block Storage. Then you have File Storage Service, FSS, which is a shared file system, which is multiple machines accessing the same storage. And then you have things like Glacier and CloudFront, other things which are more for a big backup and restore or from migration purpose. We'll go deeper into that storage. That's number two. Number three is about networking, and networking is how the machines get IP addresses, or the databases get, or load balancers get IP addresses, and that is how you connect. So there's something called as VPC, Virtual Private Cloud, uh, uh, Route 53, which is a load balancers, direct connect for connectivity, and so many like gateways and other things, which will go deeper later part. So third number thing is foundation services are networking. Then you have security and identity and access management. So things like your users, groups, roles, permissions. Then you also have WAF, which is a web application firewall, Shield, which is to protect distributed denial of service attack, KMS, which is your key management services, where you have all the keys, SSL certificates, encryption, decryption keys, and etc. as well. Hardware security module, HSM, and so on. And you also have directory service, which is a implementation of, like you said, LDAP servers on AWS Cloud. We'll talk about them as we go in subsequent lessons and videos. So that's security. That's a third foundation or fourth foundation service in terms of, sorry, Oracle, not sorry, Oracle, in terms of AWS Cloud. Then fifth is your databases, which are relational or and non-relational, or SQL structured query language or NoSQL non-structured query language. You have Amazon RDS, which is a relational data services of implementation of Oracle, Microsoft, MySQL, and so on. They also have Aurora, which is your I think business intelligence uh, for data warehouse and data mining kind of a databases. You have a QLDB, you have a Redshift, we have a Neptune, DynamoDB, and Elastic Cache. We'll be going, and there'll be a separate video I'm going to create for a databases part. And then comes, so these are the four or five main core services, but then you also on top of that, you need management, something to manage them, build them. So you have ops work, which is automating operations with Chef and Puppet, which are the configuration management tools or build tools, etc. You have AWS config management. You have CloudTrail to audit your entire user activity and uses of APIs on AWS Cloud. You have CloudWatch, which is for monitoring and notification of services. You have CloudFormation, which is like automating the build, something similar to Terraform. You also have Trusted Advisor and few other services, which is management and tools. And then sixth, seventh, and final, which we've added is AWS DevOps, which is like you probably know, where development operation tools like your CI/CD tools, a comprehensive set of tools like AWS Code Commit, Code Pipeline, Code Build, Code Deploy, using automation of, and then all of that end to end, including configuration management, etc., comes under DevOps tools. We'll have a separate video or separate in this series, separate tools about that as well. So these are the core 7 services which I suggest. Now, there is a free class that I do, which we'll be covering later. But as I said, there's a free course, which probably I'm going to put under the description section. Once with these created, for now, we might have a free class on how to learn this in a step-by-step manner, which is a comprehensive that we see. It's completely a 8-week program that we help you in learning, or path I give you. You can use that path to learn and become and get certified on AWS Cloud. In subsequent lessons or videos, we're also going to talk about what are the certifications available and so on. Also, what all hands-on lab we recommend for you. Now, that's for today. I think it's more than enough. I was aiming towards 5 minutes, but extended to 10 minutes. So I'll try to shorten them. But give me a feedback in terms of how did you like it? It was too short, too quick? Leave me a comment on this. Also, in the part 2, next we are going to talk about the global infrastructure where AWS is built on, which things like region and availability zone, and how do you use them? Why do you use them? Why AWS has so many regions and availability zones, and how does availability, high availability in disaster recovery is done using these HN and these global infrastructure as well. So that's coming tomorrow. Let me know if you have comments, and if you can't find it, it should be on the same series, or you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn. But do let me know with the what the feedback is, so that I can constantly improve these videos. With that, this is Atul from Team K21 Academy. I'll see you tomorrow on the next video.